Does that sound okay? Everybody can hear? Thank you for coming, everybody. We're going to get started. It's a little past 11 o'clock, so we have a great crowd. I really appreciate everybody coming out here and knowing that this event means something. Not just a talk to come to for entertainment, but there's something about a conversion story like Dr. Bruchalski's that should make any Catholic want to be here. Truly want to be here. Again, not just because it's something to do on a Saturday afternoon, because it's rejoiceful. It's a joyful thing when a man who performed abortions now runs a pro-life Catholic GYN center, one of the most popular ones in the country, and has dedicated the rest of his life, to the unborn. That's something that, and I know you know what I mean, it's something that when you hear it, the grace comes over you and you say, I have to hear that, because a little bit of that has happened in my life. I would not be who I am, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the grace of Jesus Christ. And you know that's hit Dr. Bruchalski like a ton of bricks in his life. So again, there's just something good about being here. There's something good about that message that you just want to be a part of. So thank you for recognizing that. So let's start in prayer. We always pray at Servants of Christ for Life. We always start our meetings praying for all of the intentions that are associated with the issue of abortion. So everybody from the women who are pregnant that are considering abortion, to women who have had abortions, to men who have been complicit in the abortion of their children, the abortion workers, the abortionists, everybody associated with that. Us, the pro-choice movement, the escorts that walk these women into Planned Parenthood. We lift everybody up through that very special prayer that we all know. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary,
full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Our Lady of Guadalupe. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we are very grateful to an organization called the Portsmouth Institute for helping us sponsor this event. They've been a huge help. We could not have done this without them. If you don't know what the Portsmouth Institute is, you have to know about them. You have to know what it is. You have to get plugged into what they're doing. There's a beautiful Benedictine Abbey in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. And the Portsmouth Institute is an offshoot of that. And they are about the new evangelization. They are about teaching people what it means to be Catholic, bringing people into the church. They have amazing events. And that is hand in hand with what Servants of Christ for Life is doing. Because we don't just preach life, we preach the gospel of life. It's not just about stopping abortion. It is about preaching the gospel of life so that people don't just choose life, they know why they're choosing life. And it has everything to do with that beautiful phrase that St. John Paul II used in Evangelium Vitae, the gospel of life. He actually says the gospel of life is at the heart of Jesus' message. That's a powerful statement. That's the first thing you'll read on the inside cover of your program. The gospel of life, that's a saint. Our Pope, a Pope for the church for almost everyone here's entire lives. He's writing an encyclical saying the gospel of life is at the heart of Jesus' message. So what we're doing and what the Portsmouth Institute is doing is the same exact thing. And I encourage you guys to know about them and to attend their events, to support them. And I'll welcome Chris Fisher up here now, the Executive Director.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks, Tyler, and the Servants of Christ for Life for putting this on. And of course, our speaker for being here today to bring us through his conversion story and what brought him into the gospel and the gospel of life, as Tyler says. So I am the Executive Director of the Portsmouth Institute for Faith and Culture. My name is Chris Fisher. I also teach humanities at Portsmouth Abbey School, which is part of the sponsoring organization of the Portsmouth Institute. So the Portsmouth Institute explores the intellectual tradition of the church and it promotes the renewal of contemporary culture. In particular, we aim to do four things. We aim to encourage the study of Catholic thought among students and scholars. We grant opportunities for the public, for lifelong learners, to explore Catholic thought and the literary, artistic, and religious heritage of the West. We influence public discourse by promoting authentic Catholic perspectives on issues such as the family, economics, bioethics, the environment, art, and politics. And we provide high school students at Portsmouth Abbey School and our partnering monastery and school, St. Louis Priory, with the opportunity to have meaningful encounters with the Catholic faith. We accomplish these goals through a variety of programs, through lectures and colloquia like this one today, through small group seminars, an annual summer conference held every June at Portsmouth Abbey's campus, through publications, digital media, and more. And we do all of this in the spirit of St. Benedict, our patron, and in the service of the new evangelization. I wanted to say a quick word. I know we have a program to get to. I want to say a quick word about what the new evangelization is, and our part in it, the Institute's part in it, and really why we're here today as part of that event. No longer, I think, as Christians are we evangelizing a word that is simply ignorant of God, as in the ancient days. Nor are we evangelizing a word that is generally open to the mysteries of the faith. Rather, we're evangelizing a modern world that has known God and has rejected Him. So this is, I think, on one level, what it means to be the new evangelization. But we shouldn't distinguish a new evangelization from an old evangelization. The evangelistic mission of the church has existed unchanged since the time of Christ. Instead, the new evangelization derives its novelty, I think, from the inherent newness of Christ and the gospel, especially the gospel of life, and especially for all of those who experience a metanoia, a conversion in the face of God. Christ's newness, I think, is like Chesterton illustrated. He said, "It may not be an automatic necessity that makes all daisies alike. It may be that God makes every daisy separately, but has never got tired of making them. It may be that He has the eternal appetite of infancy, for we have sinned and grown old, and our Father is younger than we." So thus, while the world grows old in its moral decay, God is eternally new. And I think this was true of the ancient world, and is equally true of our secular modern world. So new evangelization exists so much as Christ, through the church, presents Himself anew to an old world. So what we must do then today is remind people of the newness of the gospel, the newness of life, and the newness of those two things combined, and of truth. So that's the purpose, I think, of today, that the dignity of human life is eternally true, but must be shown anew to the old world that we inhabit. So that's what the Institute, that's the work that we are trying to do. You can learn more about us at our website, portsmouthinstitute.org. The information is in the program that we received today. We have a few events coming up over the course of the next few months, but I hope you'll attend, and you'll learn more about those in the days and weeks to come. So thanks so much, and thanks again, Tyler, for putting a spectacular event together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Can everybody hear me okay, especially the people in the back? That's okay? Okay. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there's an election coming up on Tuesday. Right? I do want to start just by reminding everybody our corporal ability to fix the problem of abortion starts on days like Tuesday, November 8th. On the back of your program is an ad from the Rhode Island Right to Life. If you go to that website that's linked there, you will see all the endorsed candidates, the pro-life endorsed candidates. If you look through your program, you'll see more advertisements. Russell Taub is here. Russell Taub is running neck and neck against radical pro-abortion David Cicilline for U.S. Congress. Okay, Russell Taub is running neck and neck, pro-life candidate running neck and neck with pro-abortion candidate David Cicilline. You can get to know Russell downstairs after the talk. Justin McCrew, the gentleman that I just met recently, he's running for a local state seat. Very pro-life, very good guy. You can look through this program at other state senators and state reps. U.S. congressmen that have that support what we do. And the reason they support what we do is because we support the dignity of all human life. So check out those advertisements. Check out the other advertisements of the businesses that have supported us and allowed us to put this on, because we couldn't have flown a gentleman from Virginia and a gentleman from Kentucky and done all the things that we're doing here today without the support of the businesses in here. And definitely check out Barth Bracey is the executive director of the Rhode Island Right to Life, and this is their ad, which will give you all the pro-life candidates and all the pro-abortion candidates, and let your friends know about this list. So my name is Tyler Rowley. I am the president of Servants of Christ for Life. Servants of Christ for Life, that's somewhat of a new name. We're originally called Catholics for Life. That organization was formed in 1971. 1971, 2 years before Roe v. Wade even became law of the land. That organization was started by Anna Sullivan, Joanne McCosker, Diane Manning, and Dan Storty. And I do want to say their names because those are the people that had the foresight and the courage to start this long before I was even born. Had great foresight and great courage to start what was then called Catholics for Life. And everyone that is currently involved, especially me, is humbled to be participating in the organization that they started, and they did so much great work with. Two examples of the great work that Catholics for Life / Servants of Christ for Life has done: the Mother of Life Center and Little Flower Home. The Mother of Life Center and the Little Flower Home were born out of, no pun intended there, born out of the Catholics for Life. The Mother of Life Center is a crisis pregnancy center on Atwells Ave. They do free pregnancy testing, free ultrasounds, free baby products, free parenting classes. An amazing, amazing place. You have to know about it, because that's where you want women to go. Places like that, you want them to go there when they are in need. The Little Flower Home takes pregnant women in need into their homes, into individuals' homes or certain homes that they have set up across the state. Both organizations were born out of the work that those four people that I listed created in 1971. I actually found, when I was getting ready for this event, I started to wonder about those people who started this organization that I'm a part of now. There's a Catholic Exchange article from August 25th, 2002. It talks about a new crisis pregnancy center going in on Atwells Ave, because there used to be an abortion clinic, an abortion center on Federal Hill called the Women's Surgical Center. So these women and this group of devout Catholics got together and they said, there is an empty lot right next to this abortion mill. Let's put something here. They started the Mother of Life Center. 40 days later, that abortion center was closed. And that's what we do. That's what Servants of Christ for Life does. We stop abortion. We fight abortion. And through the grace of God and the help of everyone, we stop abortion. We make abortion centers scared because we preach the truth. We shine light on the darkest thing in the state, we shine a bright light on it, and they scurry away. We do this through rallies, we do this through marches, we do this through events and debates and talks and letters to the editor. But primarily and nearest to my heart is we do it on the sidewalk. We go to the sidewalk just like those faithful Catholics did 30 to 40 years ago. We go to the sidewalk, and we go to the sidewalk outside 111 Point Street in Providence. We go out to that sidewalk to preach the gospel of life. And I want to talk about that Planned Parenthood at 111 Point Street. I want to read to you, this is something that our organization, Servants of Christ for Life, drafted and I read in the State House a year and a half ago. Every year we have a road that's called the Rosary for Life. We pray 3 rosaries in the middle of the State House on the Feast of the Annunciation every single year. And this is what I read a year and a half ago. The title is Close the Planned Parenthood in Providence. Servants of Christ for Life is developing a comprehensive plan to save lives, save souls, and close the Planned Parenthood in Providence. We want women to choose life for their baby. We want women to go elsewhere for their health care needs, and we want the Planned Parenthood in Providence to be shut down. The Planned Parenthood in Providence at 111 Point Street kills children up to 19 weeks in the womb. Through a team of trained sidewalk counselors, effective signage, detailed literature, and constant prayer, we can educate these women and take away a large chunk of Planned Parenthood's clientele. We are looking for 100 Rhode Islanders who can commit to standing outside Planned Parenthood for 1 hour per week. Will you be one of them? We must remember that we are Catholics who have been born into Christ's church. Each one of us is called by name to works of mercy, to help those who can't help themselves. We live in the most Catholic state in the country, where 54% of people identify as Catholic, more than twice the national average. A business that dismembers and kills God's children has no place in Rhode Island. It has been 42 years since our country ruled that a mother could constitutionally kill her unborn child. And Servants of Christ for Life has no plans to sit back and get used to that unjust law. Please join us. The Planned Parenthood in Providence is open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Here are their hours of operation. We list their hours of operation, and we ask people to dedicate 1 hour per week. So today I can officially announce that the Planned Parenthood at 111 Point Street is moving out of that location, and they're moving, so we're halfway done. They're moving into a new location in Providence, into a building that has been vacant for 14 years. The details of this is really, really important. I need you guys to understand this. That Planned Parenthood at 111 Point Street has been there for 30 years. Okay, roughly, maybe even more than 30 years. They moved in there in the late 80s. The building that they're going to move into is maybe a 15-second ride up the street. You can probably see it from their current location. It's been vacant for 14 years. The Boy Scouts used to own it. They sold it to Paolino Properties. It has been vacant for 14 years. It's across the street from a homeless shelter. That's probably a big reason why no one has taken it yet. 14 years, this Planned Parenthood has known about that building, but now they're taking it. Now they've decided to undergo millions of dollars of construction and renovate what was formerly a Boy Scout building into a medical facility. If you drive by there, you'll see a ton of construction. It's at least a few $1 million that is going into that building. They're uprooting themselves from where they've been for 30 years, and they're moving into a building that's been down the street for 14 years. What has changed? This is part of it. What we've done in the last year and a half is we've got more people to pray outside there, which has led to more people approaching women and driving them away from that place. The lives that have been saved out there is the least of their concern. If we save, a life every month, that's not what Planned Parenthood's concerned about. They're concerned about when we approach women who are going in there for all their other services, and they're leaving. Because the average woman, when you tell them, if you get your checkup there, you will support the killing of 19-week-old children. The average person doesn't want to support the killing of 19-week-old children. They will go elsewhere. Here's an example of how we know that this is what scares them. I was there a couple months ago on a random Wednesday. On a random Wednesday, Planned Parenthood never has escorts walking people in the door. They do on the days that they're killing children on Tuesday and Friday, but they don't have them there any other days of the week. I was able to talk to 3 women in an hour and explain to them that this isn't the place you want to go for any of these services. There's all these other places, and I showed them where they could go. Within 45 minutes, there was an escort down there. Okay, so you have to think about what's going on inside that building. Okay, we have a pro-lifer outside. He's approaching these girls. They're going away again. We need to find some escort at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. Find somebody to come down here and walk these women in so they don't talk to this guy. That's the reason they're leaving. Because getting 3 women on a random Wednesday to go to another clinic for a checkup or for whatever else, or for an STD test, that doesn't just translate to $500 for Planned Parenthood. That translates to a crack in their system that we know about, and then it's only a matter of time before we infiltrate it more. Okay, they operate like a business. If a business owner knew about some sort of infiltration like that, they would change their business model to prevent it from the crack getting bigger. Okay, so what's the reason that they're moving? What's different about the building that they're moving into? The building that they're moving into, the parking lot is enclosed within the fence. Unlike the current location, the parking lot is across the street from the building. So we have time to talk to the women as they're going from their car into the building to explain to them this place kills children up to 19 weeks old. They kill children every single day of the week, surgically on Tuesday and Friday. Here's what abortion is. We have that time to do that. They want a building where we cannot do that. Little do they know. I'll get to that. And I want you to know, I'm not explaining this because we want credit for this. Servants of Christ for Life is trying to take credit for Planned Parenthood moving. First of all, the Diocese of Providence, CareNet, Rally Right to Life, 40 Days for Life, all the individuals who aren't necessarily involved in a group have been praying and doing great work out there for years. But what we would be remiss if we didn't point out that for a year and a half, something a little bit different has been going on. Specifically approaching women who are going in there for non-abortion services and getting them to go elsewhere. And don't think that we're not approaching the women who are going in for abortion. We've saved many lives in the last 2 years. But thinking about it from an operational standpoint, that's not what really bothers them. Where you can hit them and where you can drive them out is when you can get all the other women who are going in there to go somewhere else. And I guess the most amazing part about this is that we honestly, we haven't even gotten started yet. When we announced that a year and a half ago, we only have about half the hours covered. We haven't even put together our full plan. When they move into their new building, they are going to get hit with a ton of bricks with the strategies that we come up with to approach cars, to talk to women in different ways, and to make sure to get the same message of the gospel of life. And then they're going to turn around and say, wow, we just spent millions of dollars, and for some reason they're more effective at our new location, the location we didn't want for 14 years. We shouldn't have taken it in the first place. That building is at 175 Broad Street. You can drive by there, you can see all the construction going on. I encourage you, we're not putting together a campaign to stop that building from going up, okay? Let them put their new building up. But if you want to go by there and tell the workers what they're building, that would be a charitable thing to do. I did it the other day. I was asked to never come back, but I will go back. But they're not telling those laborers and those carpenters that they're building tables and walls that are going to support the killing of 19-week-old children. The foreman on that job was scared to death when he found out who I was, and I was talking to a laborer on that job. Go by there and let them know, and make life a little bit more difficult for them. But let them build their building. But we're going to be there. We're going to give them a good opening, a grand opening party. And I'm telling you, we're going to figure out ways to save more lives, to turn more women away, because that's what we do. That is the spirit of why Catholics for Life was formed. That's what Servants of Christ for Life does. That's what Catholics do. That's what the pro-life movement does. So we have a table downstairs. Come learn more about us and join us. And now for the best part of the evening, or one of the best parts. I don't want you to leave after Dr. Bruchalski's talk, because Eric Genesis' performance later on is going to blow your mind. Please don't think that, I just came for the talk and I'm going to leave after. The musical performance after lunch is going to be outstanding. But we are so happy that Dr. Bruchalski has come up here from Virginia to be with us to explain what this is all about. So I will introduce him now. Dr. Bruchalski, you can read his bio in the program. He's from Virginia. He has an amazing story which he's going to tell you about. He runs a pro-life Catholic OB/GYN center called the Tepeyac Family Center in Virginia. So a round of applause.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is John Bruchalski, and I'm really not worthy to be here today. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be here at the Cathedral of St. Peter's and Paul. Literally, I need you all to stay for the music because I'm literally Eric's opening act. And I mean that with all sincerity. His music moves the soul. And our organization, Divine Mercy Care, our tagline is transforming hearts through healthcare. Because the problem is not out there, it's in here. We have hardened our hearts, and if we had the grace of St. Paul and St. Peter, which we're going to ask for today, come Holy Spirit, come Holy Spirit, come Holy Spirit. Abundance. Abundance upon these folks here, Daddy. I didn't call you, you called us. You called us, me and you, to go bear fruit. Daddy, help us bear fruit in your power and in your name. I mean this with all my heart, folks. I'm here because people like you prayed for people like me. Intercessory prayer, whether it's for jobs as librarians, or whether it's for a pathologist, or whether it's for the pregnancy centers, I'm standing here because of intercessory prayer. And I stand on the shoulders of people like you, people who have gone before me. I stand on their shoulders, and bless you. And as a Catholic, we stand on the shoulders of the saints that came before us. It was a delight last night. I was with a bunch of female priests up at St. John's Seminary. This morning I had the joy of driving here with the Wood family. All 6 women in a van with me. Thank God I'm an OB/GYN, so I'm used to all this estrogen and this conversation. Their choice in music was excellent. And for each and every one of you, I'm grateful. Once again, I'm a kind of an old diabetic, and they gave me apples and peanut butter, and I'm grateful. What a year this has been, right? The Cubs are world champs. Theo Epstein, who is here, is there, and the system continues. I played baseball in high school and college. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. We've been married 25 years. I don't normally wear bow ties, but my wife taught me how to do this at a date, and so even though she's not with me today, I live in a Polish commune, meaning that my mom and dad lived with us for over 25 years. So my wife is the saint, and I am not worthy to be here. I also stand here today because Dr. Bruchalski, I aborted anything, including 3-pound infants. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. But I want you to know that the world's gone crazy, right? I come from the heart of darkness right outside of Washington, D.C. I see the walking wounded in my practice. So we now have 5 OB/GYNs, 1 midwife, 1 PA. There's 30 to 40 people that we want to create an economy for. So we have to see everyone. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But I just want you to know that God has a sense of humor with us. He picks the weakest. That's why I am truly not worthy to be here today. But only through grace and intercessory prayer can this have happened, hands down. So once I kind of had that change of heart, I got a testicular tumor that was an embryonal. Any medical people here today? Great. I had an embryonal cell from a pathologist, and it gave me a positive HCG, which is the pregnancy hormone. So here's this guy who's a gynecologist having morning sickness to understand more about my patients. I've had multiple abdominal surgeries, and I need your prayers because in April of this year I was told that I had a massive heart attack and part of my heart is dead. It's not a physical thing, folks. My heart was getting hardened again. You know how it says in the end, will I find faith on earth? I don't know about you all, but anybody in the pro-life movement, it's hard. It's a challenge. I pray for I need fortitude. I need perseverance. And when I lose my joy, that's when I know I need help. So my heart attack was not because I'm a Polish kid who loved kielbasa all these years, who had a triglyceride level of 1,100. Normal is 150. So I got cancer, which gave me a pregnancy test, so I started vomiting for morning sickness. I have multiple abdominal surgeries because of the cancer and because of other things. And my last surgery was just a month and a half ago, because my intestines were outside my abdomen above the mesh. Prayers mean the world to me, because it wasn't the physical garbage that I was going through. It was the heart. I was losing my joy. And that's always a tip-off that something is not right. I was becoming lukewarm. And so, yeah, I went from cancer to a broken neck with paralysis. Fishing. I love fishing. My wife and I both love to fish. Trout. She's from South Florida, so she catches bigger fish. But my bishop, when I started the Tepeyac Center, he said, "Johnny, cast your net out." And that's what we've been trying to do ever since. I cannot tell you. I want to thank the Servants of Christ for Life, and I want to thank the Portsmouth Institute. You are at ground zero. You're at the GPS zero of the culture battle, but also of the mercy battle. Because in the end, I can't throw stones at anyone. It's about love. It's about one-on-one relationships. We're going to talk about that. But thank you for this invitation. Thank you to Bishop Toby. It takes a lot of guts today, because I want to tell you that when the Good Samaritan meets the Good Shepherd and the innkeeper, amazing things happen. Amazing. Who's the Good Shepherd? It's the priests and nuns and the religious. Who's the Good Samaritan? It's our Lord. He's the divine physician. It's not me. I'm the innkeeper. I remember I had this recurrent dream where, healthcare, right? Healthcare is so crazy. I'm trying to bridge the gap. We're going to talk about this practice here in a minute here, but I get this dream where I'm in my office working in the back. It's kind of cold outside. It's like, your winter here last year, 2 years ago, when you had all this snow. The knock comes, and there's this couple standing there, and they say, I hear you're an OB/GYN. I don't have anywhere else to go. I have no insurance. And the woman is young and pregnant. It's that innkeeper in Bethlehem. I have these dreams where the innkeeper, can you imagine this guy bringing you this beat up body? Take care of him for a few days. Here's some money. I'll pay you back in the future. There's a choice that I have to make. And that's why we call it the Tepeyac Family Center, because I have to put it in the name to remind me, because the pressures get so challenging. Also, by the way, I heard Pete Kreeft was here 2 years ago. Once again, man, I ain't worthy for this, because this is an experiential talk. This is a real honor to be here. So I want to share with you, hopefully over the next, 30 or 40 minutes, and we can maybe get some questions and answers. But I want to talk afterwards. I really do, because I want to build relationships. And so once again, this idea of suffering and pregnancies, and I'm telling you, this idea of this idea of bringing together, we're the innkeepers. God's going to do the hard work. The Holy Spirit does it. Johnny, you don't have to worry. I do the hard stuff. You just have to be present. So when this present Pope said, we are a mash unit, we are a triage center, he's right. We are triage. I'm a triage center. I patch women up because I'm a gynecologist, and I send them back out onto the front lines again. The families of babies. I'm so grateful you guys came. At our gala that we have, because we have a nonprofit, there are a lot of babies there. It's wonderful. And yet, we are, in the book of Revelation, we are Laodicea. Amen, amen. The faithful and true witness, the source of God's creation, says this: I know your works. I know that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish you were either hot or cold. So because you are lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth. For you say, I am rich and affluent and have no need of anything, and yet do not realize that you are wretched, pitiable, poor, blind, and naked. That's us. I live in Northern Virginia. I live between Loudoun County and Fairfax County, two of the richest counties in the history of the world, and we're as poor can be. I advise you to buy me gold refined by fire, that you may be rich, white garments to put on so that your shameful nakedness may not be exposed. Those whom I love, I reprove and chastise. Be earnest, therefore, and repent. Folks, we are here, and I have nowhere else to run. I grew up in a great Catholic family. We're Polish, so I prayed a decade of the Rosary for the conversion of Russia. Guess what happened in my lifetime? I don't know if they converted, but the wall fell down. Communism began to get... I can see the power of prayer. It's palpable. The wood girl saying prayers for me right now. I am grateful. Intercessory prayer is key because when I went off to college and high school, I began to drink the Kool-Aid. This idea that in order to be a good doc, you had to buy into the whole thing. You had to be a good abortionist. You had to repress fertility at every possible turn. And if you didn't, you weren't serving women. And so there I was. So I'm 56. And I was beginning to slide little by little. I began to do more and more. I remember I was really good at PMS. Like I could listen to a patient and they talked about their difficulties, and I could look at progesterone and estrogen and figure out how to do bioidentical hormones or no hormones or supplements or ginseng, and people got better. And then the next thing was putting long-term contraceptives in poor women for the very fact that they were poor. And then once you did that, then in order to get rid of poverty, you get rid of those who are poor. And then when you find sick children, you can get rid of those diseases by. Now I'm telling you folks, once again, for any of you in the audience who have had an abortion or who are a part of it, my heart goes out. I have to tell you that this year of mercy, there is nothing you've done that can be outdone by the mercy of Jesus Christ. Nothing. Because you may have had an abortion or encouraged someone to have an abortion, or so you men in the audience, you may have kind of like ran away from responsibility and kind of said, here's $300. But I did hundreds. Little, 3 pounds. And I have to tell you that this idea, it becomes, it's a challenge. Because what happens is that when you do the early ones, you don't feel a whole lot. But as you have to do more and more, and you begin to kind of slide, so when you have a baby that's this big and you reach inside and you open up the womb and you do the procedure, it goes from your hand, through your elbow, through the shoulder, into your heart. Because then you have to go back in again and take apart the baby. And it's visceral. And your heart begins to steel itself every time it happens. It's hard. It's not, the human person just can't go do that easily. It's tough. And yet I believed it was necessary. I wanted to be the best at it as I could. But I began to see my heart slipping away. So here I was between medical school and residency. And I went to go visit a friend who was going to visit his friend who was a priest outside of Mexico City. And we visited the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so I'm standing in back because I wanted to be with the people. It's where the people are. And the men were there, the young workers, bare-chested, covering their chest, standing in back. I was there, and I heard distinctly, "Why are you hurting me?" And I just went, it's too hot, it's too crowded. That can't be real. And so I ignored it. And I went back, and I truly began to do things that were much more difficult. Sterilizing 18-year-olds because they had 2 children, and they were poor. I began to do more and more advanced abortions. And so this idea, once again, we move, there's a pattern here. First there's confusion, then there is I appreciate it. First there's confusion, then there's lack of discipline, and then there's division, and then there's persecution. So here I am in my second year of residency, and I went from Alabama all the way to the Eastern Virginia School of Medicine, which is the home of the Jones Institute. They're the home of the test tube baby industry in this country. The first one was there. I began to harvest eggs to make embryos. We had to make 19, 20 embryos per woman in order to find 1 or 2 children. When you got to be 3 and 4 and 5 babies in the womb, you then began to terminate 2 or 3 to get down to twins. So you took a woman who was infertile, who desperately wanted children, superovulated them, got them many children, and then had to take away a few. Psychosis, right? Schizophrenia. So here I found myself on labor and delivery, because I want to tell some stories here. And in one room, you are a young woman whose water broke at 25 weeks, at 40 weeks normal pregnancy, and I'm doing everything to save your baby. I've got you upside down, I've got medicine going in to quiet your uterus, I'm giving you antibiotics so you don't get infected. I'm not examining you because I don't want to infect you, but I have a problem here. This baby is not going to make it if we don't do something. In this room here, this woman really basically said, my water broke, I don't know what to do. Well, your baby has an 80% chance of not doing very well, so let's just pit it out. I'm going to deliver it. Because really it's the merciful thing to do. I don't want you to suffer. I definitely don't want your fetus to suffer. So let's just, here's some Pitocin. Be done with it. Baby comes out. I grab the baby by the head. In the state of Virginia, 500 grams, which is about 1.25 pounds, 1.33 pounds, you put it on the scale, 506 grams. 6 grams over the limit that I could have just got rid of. So if it was 497, I would have just pitched the baby into 506, 507, oh darn it. That's right, I gotta go back here again. I have to call the NICU doctors, the special neonatal doctors. They come in now to resuscitate this baby. Because the baby wasn't 23 weeks, which I thought, it was 26 weeks. I didn't take a good history. Dr. Debbie Plum walks in the room, and I remember her looking at me like, what are you doing? This woman had the chutzpah enough to engage me. Johnny, Dr. John, you're better than this. You are now giving me a tumor And babies aren't tumors, she said. Now you want me to rescue this baby and give this baby oxygen and fluids, and you just pitted it out? What are you doing? You know, I've seen the way in your clinics. People come, they stand in line, you really engage, you become friends, you make house calls, you listen to them. What are you doing here? Listen, man, I don't know what faith you are, but I can tell you believe in something. I just got back from Medjugorje, and you need to go there. What? Listen, man, right now at this point, I was working at a pregnancy center in Virginia Beach, Virginia. That pregnancy center was run by an evangelical church. So I was kind of going to the Assembly of God church. Because by this point, I had left I'd left the faith. I wasn't really anything. But these people seemed to care. Can you imagine how schizophrenic I am? I am at a pregnancy center Tuesday nights, and I'm in my office as a resident, taking out babies. Schizophrenia. That's what the world is like today. Because our hearts are divided. You can't serve, right? What was the reading from this morning's Mass? You can't serve God and men. I think that was part of it in Luke 16. Yeah, man. Can't serve both. And eventually the mercy of God. We're built that way. We're built because we're made in the image and likeness. It's hard. It's really hard to steel yourself. Because every chance is given for mercy. Every chance. So, 2 days later, my mother calls and goes, "Hey, John, I know you've got winter break coming up. Do you want to go with me on a trip?" "Sure, Mom." "Where do you want to go?" "Well, how do you like Dubrovnik, Yugoslavia?" "I love Dubrovnik. It's a beautiful city. I'm a history major. I like history. And we're going to stop at Medjugorje." "What's that?" "Oh, some people say Our Lady's appearing there." Well, I grew up in a Polish family. I was consecrated to Our Lady as a little kid. I believe in the triumph of the Immaculate Heart. And I'm here to tell you that it is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Hands down. So I go to Medjugorje with my mom in the middle of winter. There's only 40 people there. Most of them are from Belgium, praying for the pro-life movement. I don't want to deal with any of this. Don't you know, Mom, that we went to an assembly church and we're really not big into the Mother of God? But I've always had a soft spot because it always kind of made sense because I don't like paying a debt. I like family. In fact, I love family. So, I go on this hill to pray, and this young girl comes up to me and goes, "Holly, you're a doctor, and I just got a message from Our Lady for you. Do you have a pen and paper? Can I tell you this?" And I'm just like, "Leave me alone. I won't." 56 things later, she says, "It's your choice, but I really think that you need to open up your heart." Within a few seconds, I had some experience. I was in a slump. My parents never stopped praying for me. Intercessory prayer. So for all of you out there who have children that are no longer kind of like with the program, who may have drank the Kool-Aid, do not worry. The words spoken to you by our Lord and Savior are true. This year of mercy, Jesus, I trust in you. No matter what the changes, no matter what the challenges, no matter how far away or how numb or how lukewarm, the only answer to the lukewarmness or to, because once again, I don't mind talking to really violently pro-abortion folks. At least they have passion. It's the lukewarm that just sit there and stare at you. Yeah, whatever. So we'll talk about this in a minute. But so I go there and the scales come off. Johnny, we're asking that if you want to help the Holy Spirit renew the face of the earth, practice excellent medicine. Know the most you can about your work. Do not be a slacker. Know it all. Those words were prophetic, because when I did my ACOG, when I did my board exam, the guy looked at me and goes, you're the first Catholic doctor that has not contracepted or aborted. I said, okay, what does that mean? He goes, you better know. So I worked at a contraceptive research and development place at Eastern Virginia. So 3 hours later, 4 hours later, guess what? They passed me. On the airplane home, the guy says, I don't agree with anything you stand for, but you know what? You know your stuff. I said, oh, thank you, Jesus, at this point, right? Because I'm Polish, man. I'm a history major. He picked me out of whatever. So, Johnny, practice excellent medicine. Number 2, see the underserved, the littlest, the weakest, every day in your practice. Don't go on sabbatical. Don't try to make it a special week every year. Try to do it every day. But I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Mother, I really wish you would have told me. Because in this day and age, we have a nonprofit. We're trying to do gospel of life and social justice. It's both and. I'm here to tell you folks, it's not liberal conservative. It's not them or us. It's not, Divine Mercy Care, which is now what we do, is based on service, inspiration, and unification. We want to serve. We want to help doctors serve the underserved. Sometimes it is volunteering at the local pregnancy center or the local clinic. Sometimes it's starting it on your own, but healthcare is changing. We all know that today. The other part is inspiring. So any of the docs and nurses and midwives and whatever healthcare professionals, I'm into helping each other grow in this love of Jesus Christ and mercy. We always can grow, no matter where you're at on the spectrum. I participated in talking to medical schools across the country. Most of the audiences were, 100 people, 150 people in a medical auditorium. 80% were mushy middle. They were there for the pizza. At the last 20, 15 were radically pro-abortion. 5 were pro-life. But when you talk about it in a conversational way, because once again, I was trying to use language, because remember, today language means nothing. When you say mercy and I say mercy, Tyler, it's totally different words. So it's experiential now. We have to kind of approach people, get inside their heads and hearts, to lead them step by step to a closer relationship with the God of mercy and the divine physician. Because you have to meet them where they are and use language they get. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so, once again, this idea, I come on, and the third thing was, follow the teachings of my son's church through scripture and tradition. Okay, I can do this. Because I asked our Lord, who would I marry? Where could I take care of my parents? And can I find a good job? He answered all those within a few months of coming back. So we come back, I tell my professors, hey, I don't think I can suck eggs anymore to make embryos because those are children, man. They're not just like bread. Oh no, she says, oh no, you found Jesus, right? I said, well, I don't know what I found, but I can tell you that there is a really neat way, because you talk about looking at the human body, Dr. Jones, about looking at cervical mucus, and you believe in that, and I've kind of seen this light about the teachings of the church on fertility, how you don't suppress it, you cooperate with it, and you can kind of work with people, body, soul, and spirit, and it's not just depression, because when you're in bad relationships in a GYN office, all sorts of things can happen, ladies, as we all know. So I come back, she says, that's fine, but don't talk to anybody about it, whatever you do. Well, they made me chairman, they made me chief resident. And so what happens is you begin this conversation gently, lovingly. This young Mormon medical student goes, hey man, we've been praying for you. Well, I stopped doing terminations, and of the 20 residents, I think 18 stopped. They're just looking for someone to be like the first. But you do it in a loving way. So I started practice, I joined a practice. They didn't see the poor. So my wife and I started the Tepeyac Family Center out of our basement. The guy that was going to loan us $60,000 to get started, he backed out. It It was people like you who basically said, here's a CD of $10,000, John. Use it and pay me back when you can. It got down to $100 in my checking account. I had to take care of my mom and dad and my family. And yet, people began to give some money, and we raised over $60,000. I gave them 3 percentage points higher than any bank in the area. We paid them off 2 years early. We started the Tepeyac Center. We now have 5 doctors, a midwife, a nurse practitioner, 30 people. We believe that the cutting edge of medicine is working with where are the pregnancy center folks here? What are the names again?
Mother of Life and CareNet.
So Mother of Life and CareNet. So my conversion kind of came back to the Catholic Church, was actually in CareNet, in the Assembly of God Church. Because of John 6, my life changed, and I was Catholic again. My parents just smiled and cried a lot. I have to tell you, one thing led to another, led to another, led to another, and I began to find other doctors in our area who then began to join us. This is how one of them happened. This is public, so I'm not telling you stories. Name of the Father, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I'm a GYN, and I work in this practice, and I do a bunch of things, and I'm really having a hard time. And the priest goes, Dr. A, I can't really give you absolution because I'm not sure. I think you're going to go back and you're going to do the same thing on Monday morning. So here's a card, and he gives him the card. Go talk to this guy every week and see what happens. So I would get these phone calls every Friday afternoon. And she's like, hey, John, this is Marie from across the street. Could you have a few minutes to talk? What do you do with ectopics? What do you do with third trimester? Do you ever pit the mother against the child? And I don't know. Conversation of conversion, I guess. No, Marie, we never pit mom against the baby. Because even after you end the life, trying to quote-unquote save her life, you've given her the burden of knowing that she had to end the life of her baby in order to save her own. Once again, I can't throw stones here, folks. This is not us against them. I am them. I am us. You don't pit moms against babies ever. You try to save both of them as far as you can. Even if it's pulmonary hypertension, even if it's cancer, even if it's whatever. You try to grab them and you basically help them see that, Mom, you've done everything humanly possible. Because when you lose a miscarriage, what do mothers do? They start crying because they thought they did something. Hey, Johnny, was the dancing or the skiing or the sex or this, did that cause it? No. As I jokingly say, you stopped your cocaine, right? That causes problems. It's this idea of ownership, relationship. So let me kind of just tell you a few stories now. It's almost 12:05. We got to about 12:30. Okay, so these are some stories. So part of our practice is, we talk about being on the sidewalk. I think you used the phrase, Tyler, on the sidewalk. So I went to the sidewalk. Oh my God, you're a doctor. Hey, sweet, come do this. Well, I'm out there playing one day, and this young lady's next to me, and she is a little pregnant, or she looked pregnant, and she says to me, she goes, so, can you help me? She goes, I lost my last pregnancy, and I'm now pregnant again. I lost my last pregnancy at 20 weeks. My water broke, and I'm a severe diabetic with a pump. I am a brittle diabetic. I said, well, I'm an OBGYN. I just opened up the Tepeyac Center. Yeah, I'm sure we can help you. Why don't you just come over to our place? And when Mother Teresa, I met her briefly, when I told her that we see all these poor people, she says, oh no, you don't have to come to Calcutta, because that's what she was really trying to do. She says, you're bringing Calcutta to Fairfax, Virginia, and Jesus likes that. So this woman comes to me on her second child. So her name is not Margaret, has been with us for 18 years. She has gone on to have 5 more babies, and her diabetes. She no longer has kidney disease. And she no longer has eye disease. And she's no longer overweight. Now, I don't know how the Lord has done this, but she is healthier now because her other doctor said, no, you're a severe diabetic, you're killing yourself, don't do this. And she kept saying, well, why is the Lord putting in my heart this, but not this, and I don't know what to do. Another story. So, like I said, God has a sense of humor. He gives me cancer, and I fight it, and the only people that would help me out then were abortionists. So Dr. Bruchalski in his pro-life practice is being covered by the abortion practice. So I had to take chemotherapy 1 week out of 5 months. It's the big protocol. They said, no, Johnny, you helped us out. I remember one day they were doing a second trimester termination, and they got into the bloodstream, and the woman was in DIC, which means she was bleeding out from everywhere, and they needed to stop some bleeding. And I had some experience with this, so I just jumped in, and we helped him. That lady's alive. So they said, no, Johnny, we have such a busy practice, we're always here. You only deliver, 20 babies a month. We can cover you. I said, will you take money for it? They're like, no, you helped us out. We don't. Dear Jesus, I'm by myself, I've got cancer. But wait a second, they're pro-choice. They're oh my God. So, 2 quick stories, and just to give you how powerful your prayer is. First story. Robin, who came to my practice because she wanted a pro-life doctor because she aborted her first pregnancy, and she's having this conversion or change of heart, and she wanted a doctor. Guess what? I was in the hospital in chemotherapy, puking my guts out when she went into labor. Guess who her doctor was, who delivered her baby that night? The doctor who terminated her first baby. Didn't recognize her. So I'm just like, oh dear Lord, this is so screwed up. That was pride talking. Holy Spirit doesn't screw up. They don't make mistakes. Ever. What they say to you is true. So I see her 6 weeks later, for her 6 weeks postpartum visit. I can't do it anymore. I gotta do it with them, man. She walks up to me, and before I can say, I'm so happy for you, she takes a fist and she strikes me in the shoulder. This woman was 5'10". Strong woman. She goes, I hate you. Where were you when I needed you? But I love you because I forgave him. And then she hugged me and kissed me. What? She goes, Johnny was crazy. He walks in, I'm like, oh my God, the canal of death is now going to become the canal of life with this guy. I can't do this. I forgive you. And the baby came out as easy as can be, first baby. She goes, Johnny, the conversion occurred. And what I keep hearing about is, Johnny, the Lord, it's not you doing it. It's me. The world's going to go on. Get over it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. That's the first story. Second story. One of the guys, one of my patients, because we run a perinatal hospice. So what that means is for babies who are very deeply sick, we don't kill them. Like, we don't believe of getting rid of sickness by killing the people with the sickness. Right? We don't do that. You let the child live as long as the good Lord allows, and you bond, and you suffer with. That's compassion. And you build a family. So what we do is we kind of sell a little, like a family. But guess what? 4th chemotherapy, the wonderful mother without the baby's brain, the anencephalic, delivered at 33 weeks. It's a Thursday night, I remember it distinctly. I'm laying in bed, now I'm even bigger, bloated, bald, puking. Knock at the door. God, it's amazing how God knocks. He's always there. Knocks at the door, in walks the guy who delivered. What the hell are you doing, Bruchalski? I just delivered a monster. You didn't tell me about it, and damn it, you didn't tell me. This is the last time we're going to help you. I'm really sorry it's 11 o'clock at night, but this is crazy. We said we would help you, but we're not doing bad medicine. I'm really sorry I had to tell you this, but I have to get it off my chest because you're a friend of mine. I said, thank you, Bob. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry. So, fast forward now 6 years. I'll do it again. I'm in my office now. Hey, come on in. Bob, how are you? John, hey, good to see you, man. He goes, guess what? He goes, I just got back from Yugoslavia, and I took this picture for you in Dubrovnik. And it's overlying, it's coming from the south, and it's a paper where everybody takes pictures. He goes, I knew you liked Yugoslavia. And I took a picture for you. I said, oh, Bobby, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. He goes, and I was over there because I was working with the UN to identify bodies for my good pathologist in the background. Because of the atrocities and because of what you've been doing in the community, I kind of felt like, man, we should all be doing a little bit more to serve. And I'm sorry, it's really tragic, isn't it? I have to see bodies upon bodies upon bodies upon bodies, and I'm trying to identify them. And then he stops and he goes, and oh, by the way, I just want you to know I stopped aborting. I couldn't do it anymore. Do you remember that monster I delivered? Oh yeah, I do. Remember how I barged into your room? He goes, can I sit down and ask, I need to talk about it. He goes, my whole life I've wanted to take care of families and build up the dignity of women. And John, there was more love in that room with a baby that didn't have a brain, by the siblings and the mother. And it was incredible. And there was certain joy in the midst of this horrible difficulty. And I wanted to do that my whole life, and I've never done that before, and I've never seen it since. And I just want you to know that I am so thankful that you got cancer so I could be there that night. And I am so sorry for barging in and causing the stress that I caused you. I said, Bob, it's okay, don't cry. It's okay. He says, but don't talk about it too much because I'm still going through it. That's the mercy of Jesus Christ. Totally outside of my control, outside of our control. It is amazing. It is truly amazing. So those are just kind of some stories in my practice here. 12, 15. So I'm just going to finish up. We believe in that divine mercy care. We believe that health is based on sacrificial relationships found in community, which is ultimately communion. It's Eucharistic. The problem in the world today is the hardness of hearts. It's us. If we have the faith of Paul, or Joan of Arc, or Sienna, or Ruth, and Judith, and Mary, things can change. It's about love. In my profession of science, we narrow it down to one dimension, only the material scientific matter. If it's not explainable there, we don't believe it. Souls, I don't think so. It's just neuropathology, neurophysiology. When you kind of belong to the faith, that's why there's truth, goodness, and beauty. Because we move from the one-dimensional to the three-dimensional. The past, forgiven or forgotten, the present, which is the only thing we can do, and the future of eternity. So by helping people people, once again, on the line, on the cutting edge, that's how you participate in the mystery of God. It's not always what you say. It's not the formula. All of you who do sidewalk counseling, pray about the specifics. What do you need to do to be present to those people coming in and out? The Holy Spirit gives you the words. This is how it happened to me in the hospital. The abortionist at our place, another one, walking down the hallway, I see him in distraught. I say to him, I'm really sorry what happened, Jen. I'm sorry about what happened. What? You're sorry for me? He was pretty angry at the time. He says, my God, that's the first kind word anyone here at the hospital has even said to me. Do you have time for lunch? I said, sure, come on, let's go talk. You start this relationship. The abortionist down in Central Florida, we've been bringing him to Divine Mercy chaplains because he wants God's mercy, but he can't see himself out of it. He's making money, he doesn't have a license. His wife's going to leave him if he doesn't do this. This is real, this is where the friction meets the road. Health is based on sacrificial relationships. You can have all the money and programs you want, but if you don't have love and family who care and will sacrifice for you, morbidity and mortality are much better in the family than they are outside, even though it can be difficult. Secondly, medicine is an act of mercy. It's not a political football. It's not something that, it's not a business. It's like housing the homeless and clothing the naked. That's what it is. Instructing the ignorant, counseling the doubtful. That's what this year of mercy has given us. Third, hate the disease but love the patient. One more story is, I'm at George Washington University, a young girl goes, I believe abortion's a loving option. I said, okay, I used to believe that. Go ahead and do it. I said, if you really believe that, then you have to go do it, because I don't want you a philosophical lukewarm. If you're an OBGYN and you really believe in it, you darn well better do it. Because I tried and I couldn't. So it caused a lot of stir, because I didn't know, that just came out of it. 2 years later, I'm back there, and guess who I see? Anne's waiting for me on the outside. Hey, John, do you remember me? Oh, yeah, and I do. You have beautiful eyes like my wife. Sure, I remember you. How are you? She goes, I did it, John. I tried it. You were right. Me and these 5 girls here, we can't do it. I think now we're pro-life with some exceptions rather than pro-abortion with no exceptions. Because you have to buy the fact that abortion is good for every time, for any reason. Most of the world doesn't have that. We have more liberal laws in this country than most countries have. Hate the disease, love the patient. Be present, accompany. And then lastly, by collaborating together, by partnering with the Institute, with the pregnancy centers, even with the abortion clinics. If you have a woman who can't do this, send them our way. Please, we'll help find a way to pay for them and get them care. I promise. We'll do our best. By working together, we can make abortion unwanted because it's a procedure, it's not a person. We can make children welcomed. We can make families stronger and communities healthier. Community becomes communion. You can't stop at just doing the psychology or the sociology. You got to move people from the one-dimensional to the three-dimensional, which is the body, soul, and spirit. I am grateful for you guys listening today. I think that's it. And I just want to say St. Michael prayer for all abortionists here, as well as people who are on the fence, and as well as ourselves here, so that we can be greater servants and we can be instruments of mercy for this new evangelization. Because we're facing our families and ourselves even. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, humbly pray. And thou, Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the spirits who prowl the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so grateful for your kindness, and like I said, I am really interested. Being the diabetic that I am, I'm probably not going to eat a whole lot, eat some at lunchtime, but if we want to come up and have any conversation, please, please, please support the folks downstairs. Like I said, I'm literally the opening act for Eric. His music is powerful, it penetrates the heart. The folks downstairs are trying to pull us to this place where, once again, I find anger and bitterness. We're all interested in finding Christ. Our hearts are restless until we rest in Him. Once again, when people are angry and yelling at you, it's not because the two worlds are being colliding. That's a good thing. And please pray for me. Pray for my health. Please pray for my family. I have 2 boys who are 24 and 20, so if you all have any single girls out there, I'm a matchmaker, and so come up afterwards and we can see what we can do. God bless you all.
anyone have any questions? If you do, raise your hand and bring the mic.
Big question I have for a medical question is how they justify abortion to save the life of the mother.
How do they justify it? So the question was, how do I justify it? Well, what happens is we've become risk averse. The number one problem in the world today is fear. Fear is the opposite of trust. That's why Jesus says, Jesus I trust. That's why Faustina says, Jesus I trust you. That's why it's a matter of the heart, the immaculate and sacred hearts, that's the triumph. So to fix this world, it's going to take mercy to do that. So you asked a very interesting question about how do you justify saving the life of your mother? Well, at first it was the physical life. But as we know, they expanded the definition of health, which is what they should, for body, soul, and spirit. Psychological reasons, social reasons. What's interesting is that we've now reduced the human person to consciousness. For the woman who's sick, I used to use that definition of health if you were depressed. If you had, for instance, this is one. A young woman came to me with her boyfriend, and I did a genetic test, and I told her that the test was positive, but that's not just what it was. Your risk went from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 8,000. 1 in 8,000, that's not a whole lot. The ultrasound is normal, everything else looks good. The boyfriend goes, hey honey, that's great news. 1 in 8,000, that's not bad. She says, I don't want to take any risk. Dr. Bruchalski, and I terminated before we held the baby because of fear. This whole idea of fear of not being able to finish college, fear, those are all medical reasons. So they justify it by saying that the life of the mother takes precedence between the doctor and the woman. And so what happens is there are some cases that are physically difficult. Pulmonary hypertension, where the vessels leading to the lungs are clamping down, or advanced lupus, or cardiac valve disease. We also have really good medicine. So what I find is that they justify it because they don't want to be sued for a wrongful life. They don't want to be sued by even getting close to death. They want to do the termination now. So it's risk averse. You don't want to push people. But in this day and age, we have medicine to bring mom and baby pretty far. Like to get them to 24, 25, 26 weeks. Those babies are doing better today than they did 10 years ago. Because we have better care. But that's how they justify it. What they don't see is that you pit the mother against the child. She has to then live with the fact that she has to save the life, she had to end the life of the child. Because most of those life issues are in women who have wanted pregnancy. So once again, this is another story. Blue Betty comes walking into my clinic at the Catholic hospital I worked at in Portsmouth, in Norfolk, Virginia. Hey, John. She was blue. This color. No, I want to say that. She was in fluid overload. Her heart was failing. She was 24 weeks along. Catholic hospital, they wouldn't let me do the termination, so I took her to the big house, Norfolk General, and we terminated her there. I didn't do a very good job. We didn't do a very good job trying to tune her up. We just kind of took her directly to the abortion to try to save her life. Both mom and baby died. What happens is that the principle here that I want to get across is never pit the life of mom against baby. It's good for mom and baby. You get them as far as you can with good medicine and then blind them. Then you have to deliver the baby sometimes. But that's a really good question.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am, back there.
This is not a question. This is about my sister. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers. My sister was an OB/GYN nurse. She had 2 children. She had kidney failure. She was a twin. There's me and then there's the twins. She was in Boston Hospital. Kidney failure, pregnant. Doctor said to her, lab work was awful. They said, you need to abort this child. She said, I cannot abort this. She thought about it. Absolutely not. Saw Greece. Absolutely not. The day she said to the doctors, I am not aborting the child, they said, you're going to die. Okay, so she had 2 little ones. The day she was discharged, the lab work, perfect. My sister lived. She delivered this child, who's now 38, and now has 3 children. 2 years later, my sister, kidney failed. The twin, my other sister, we thought fraternal, they were identical. Had kidney transplant. No drugs for either one. They're both living 40 years ago now. Praise God. They're both living.
The only thing that I can think about, because once again, guys, I'm here to listen. I don't have answers. I just have this experience. I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, when people say to me, Johnny, why do you take these sick people? Why are they poor? Because they're there for the reason to prompt me to be more charitable. Love God and love neighbor. When the Holy Father says, go to the margins, this is who he's talking about. And you entrust them to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Usually what happens in our places, we pick up the phone, they're on speed dial, poor Claire's, the evangelical Daughters of the King, and the big McLean Bible Church. We get on all 3 prayer lists. We've got this case, please send. And what happens is that it's an opportunity for us to minister, for them to minister to us, to help develop our trust, our faith. That's beautiful. Praise God. But even in the suffering, God is present, and the joy and the beauty often come out of it. Because sometimes I'm really convinced that we're at a place in this world where unless we get shaken again, we're not on the right trajectory. That story is beautiful. I think it was one that was a question.
One over here.
There's one over here.
Yeah, Dr. in the pro-life movement, we activists are always thinking about the physicians who are out there. And in this great Catholic state, there are a number of good Catholic physicians that are out there. And we don't want to have anything to do with abortion. But it's very common for them, because of the culture, to prescribe contraception of a variety of kinds. And we who are activists are trying to look for that best way to approach a physician to say, it's sort of the same thing. Some of them are abortifacient and all that, but just the principle of what we call temporary sterilization, which is what contraception is, it's in the wrong camp. It's in the same camp as abortion. How can we talk with doctors and say, don't prescribe contraception? Can we ask them to say that? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, sure. So I think the question that he asked was, how can you talk to a doctor about contraception when it's in the same family? John Paul II called it fruits of the same tree. They're not the same, but they're fruits of the same tree. I had the opportunity and the privilege when I was first starting out to have lunch with Bernard Nathanson. And he was coming to talk to me about the Tepeyac Family Center, because I was offering him a job. And he kind of laughed. He was doing ethics at this time. And he had entered the church just a few weeks before that. I asked him about the question of contraception, and I can tell you that he said, the data is really, it's hard to find, John, but I can tell you that the sociological data of contraception, what the country has gone through with divorce and depression and sexual issues is significant. So let me just tell you a story. So I'm at Harvard, and I'm getting hammered by this young lady off to my left, Jane, for a better name. And Jane's discussing, I bet you're one of those people who are anti-contraception. How ignorant, but you're probably one of those. I said, well, no, I use hormones in my practice, but I don't believe in just polluting a woman's body. I have 2 boys, I don't want them to hit more home runs with testosterone, so I'm not really interested in putting hormones into women's bodies if I can help them. I've gone green. 4 women of alternative lifestyles behind me stood up and applauded. And they're yelling at Jane, saying, Jane, we may not agree with our abortion, but listen to what he's saying. This patriarchal system where men had testicular shrinkage on their tests, there's no male contraceptives, it's all on us. They keep dumping hormones into our body. And oh, by the way, cancer, equal statistics. He said, listen to him on this. So we had lunch, the 6 of us, afterwards, talking about cooperation rather than suppression. Part of it is, and I don't understand, you have to know, but take my card, send them that. Because once again, it's very hard because it's impossible. The country, remember, what is it, Webster, the case after Roe, where we really had an opportunity to constitutionally get at Roe. They didn't. They said because of contraception is so much, 99%, failures of contraception have to have abortion. That was their opinion. So one of the ways you can do it is just, hey, there's a doctor who's found an end result in his patients. He's actually thriving, and he's kind of says he's gone green, he's gone, because that's what catches their attention. Because remember, everybody's risk averse, right? You didn't tell me that the abortion pill, if I give it for more than 2 years between 15 and 24, causes a 400% increase in triple negative breast cancer. You didn't tell me that. What? So once again, it's kind of in the culture. And unless they find someone who's found it, like as a witness, women who are shamed by abortion are often helped by women who have gone through it, and they've made it to the other side, and they're happy. These pregnancy centers that walk with women, it's the same thing as you're moving a physician. Once again, I was in Cincinnati, and somebody asked if I use birth control pills for medical reasons. And I said, yes, I do. Sometimes you have to. You've tried this, you've tried this, you've tried this, you've done magnesium, you've tried citrulline, you've tried progesterone, you've done all that, but it's still not working. We use it. We just tell you to abstain a few days of mid-cycle out of respect for an escape population, which we all know is 1 to 3% for low-dose pills. Well, why would I do that? Well, just in case there's an escape population of people. I don't understand at all. You can't predict the cycle, so don't worry about it. We're just out of respect for what nature provides. And if you believe life begins at conception, for instance, another point going back to the point there, this is another thing we do at the office with in vitro fertilization. Once again, it's a complex issue. I did this. I simply tell them, before you go to the reproductive endocrinologist to do this, you and your husband have to ask this one question. Is the embryo your child or your property? Is the embryo loved or owned? Because if you own it and it's your property, you can freeze it, you can multiply it, you can cut it up, you can do whatever you want with it. You can put it in frozen liquid for a few years and come back to it. But if it's your child and there's a 30% chance or 80% chance that it's not going to come out of the thaw, do you really want to do that to your baby, to your child? Now, I don't have the answers to this because this is a really interesting question. But you let the couple noodle it over. When a woman goes there and has to freeze embryos, I can tell you we see them a lot where, John, I'm just a little sad because I've got 2 or 3 left and I'm not sure what to do with them. And they really become my children and, My God, it's a hard. The church has said there's no right answer to frozen embryos. That's how far we've gone. It's really a lot about mercy. Sure, yeah. There was somebody. No, I guess not over here.
I have a question. We have, thank you. I have a question, and it does involve contraception. How can we help the number of women who cannot take care of the child? They don't have the financial means. They become pregnant. There are other women who are pregnant all the time.
Correct.
So what do we do for them? And like in Haiti, I'm just saying Haiti right now, my niece is a doctor and she happens to be there. We have millions of women who are having all these children, which are wonderful, but who takes care of them?
We have a whole system-wide thing. Remember, it's a matter of the heart. Babies are now, children are now commodities to be dealt with, just like you said, because there's millions that are trying to work to say that if you have more abortion, their social status will rise. In the country of Haiti, we have tried contraception and abortion, and it fails. Without sterilizing everybody and treating them like animals, you end up with a really hard, for society to say that we need abortion and contraception to help poverty. I pity that country. But in the same breath, we're trying to give them this new insight into the life of Christ. For instance, another simple example of practice. A dancer, not a Wall Street dancer, but a pole dancer, comes in with a boyfriend. And they're arguing the whole time. This woman has no money. She's selling her body on the side. She's found this guy she kind of likes. I'm telling you, every time they came in, they were just yelling at each other. We met them where they were. We kind of walked them through this. They didn't choose it. We're trying to give them a bigger picture. You know, there's a better way to do this. There's commitment. There's sacrifice. There's love. Do you guys worship anywhere? No. Oh, you need to meditate because there is a higher power and you're not it, and you're miserable. You're depressed. You're anxious. You're sad. Well, we delivered that child, and I don't understand how all this happened, but she comes back 3 years later. I don't see her, but I see this lady walking down the hall, and she now has a baby on her chest. She's holding this 2-year-old that looks somewhat familiar, and I noticed a tattoo on her shoulder. I said, "Annie, is that you?" And she turned around, and she's like, "John, you know, yeah, it's amazing what's happening. But yeah, Jim and I got married. We're going to an evangelical church about 60 minutes from here. My life is getting back in order." There's no easy answers here, ma'am, at all. But when a society decides to get rid of poverty or to prevent poverty by death, it breaks our heart. Now, how do we? We have to constantly, once again, on my end, it's one-on-one. I don't talk about policy, but I do talk about how people can get in there and one-on-one work with people where they're at. And to love them, whether it's Mother Teresa or whether it's the Oblates or whatever, to meet them one-on-one and show them that there's a better way. We have hundreds of young ladies in our practice who basically say after the baby, "Can you help me say no? Because I don't want to be used again." These are 16-year-old girls. Not all of them, but we engage them at that level. You're not afraid to say to them, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This guy just wants to use you, and you know it. Have you ever enjoyed sex? No, I understand. I've been there. This is not healthy. You're always welcome." And so we're constantly trying to get them into programs and other good Christian and faith-based means of giving them self-dignity where they can get out of that situation. We talk about partnering with people to teach them job skills. Because we see people who are wonderful, finding them psychiatric care. It's a real challenge. It's a great question. Yes, sir.
Could you comment on the possibility of working together with priests and bishops, medical professionals working together? And I think this is a follow-up on that question. I think a lot of priests and bishops, and I sort of don't blame them for this, are afraid to bring this topic up at the pulpit. But what if some nurse practitioners or doctors in a local diocese or parish went to talk to the priest and decided to work as a team, where the priest would bring it up and even just talk about it from a green perspective like you did, anything like that, and then say this doctor will be coming to the parish. Does someone comment on that?
Oh, man, sure. So, these are the real questions. And this is why we don't back away from it. The church does have the answer. Our Lord has enough love to answer that question, I'm sure of it. But we haven't had this. So one of the reasons why I love coming to this is to kind of find people like you guys, gals and guys, as I say in New Jersey, to remember, the problem is the one of the heart. And if we don't talk about it, or we're afraid or we're embarrassed of the church teaching, right? So you get liberals or conservatives, social justice, gospel of life, a challenge, that really friction. Well, I was having practice in Montgomery County, Maryland, at the Catholic Hospital. I was in the Archdiocese of Washington back in the early 90s. And I went there and I said, guess what, guys? I can do any form of natural family planning. I want to see the poor. I want you to send me your poor. And I want to help people see the beauty or the alternative of NFP. Because I do all of it. In fact, I just read a story that there's a NAPO center opening up in Nashville, New Hampshire. A friend of mine, Dr. Pascal. That's great. But remember, it's not just NFP. It's both and. We can find a way, but we need good people to come together. So he said, yes, we have a pro-life office. There was one woman with some money. I'm living in Virginia, working in Maryland, in the Archdiocese of Washington. I then go to Baltimore to say to them, hey, listen, I've got this practice. I'm working with these good doctors. He used to be past president of the medical staff. Let's work together. I think the word was new. The church was new. Okay. See, once again, I used to be in another diocese down in the Richmond, Virginia area. And I was helping build a marriage program, or kind of, not build, be a consultant. But as soon as I got into NFP and had this conversion, it was kind of hard sometimes. Like, it's not much. But I went to Arlington, Virginia, and the bishop said, oh yeah, I've got 4 meetings a year with my boys. Why don't you just come for one of them and have a whole hour and a half? So I spent an hour and a half talking to Lucas and the temperature and NFP to a bunch of priests on both sides of the issue. The older guys who didn't really want to do it, the younger guys who were kind of on fire because there was another John Paul stuff. Well, we all had this conversation together. Good Samaritan, good shepherd. Until we have that conversation in real time and not blame, you're not a liberal, you're not a conservative, you want to build a bride of Christ. This is what our church teaches. So let's figure out a way to really make a difference and really help each other. So for us to have this, there was probably like 110 priests from all ages and shapes and sizes and all backgrounds. And I just gave a simple, but it was mostly question and answer. Well, we had this. We had that free teacher was like, I don't know, 150, 200. I don't understand it all, but that's why I really practice the armament devices, because there was this critical mass of spiritual involvement. We are at that point again, and I love that idea. I don't have an answer, but I do know that if we converse about it in the truth of Jesus Christ and His mercy, and I mean really go after these questions that are mind-boggling and challenging, I'm convinced that it's much more than anything. It's much more than single. It's both together. And not only that, I think we can get at the walking wounded, the depression and the anxiety of living a life. I'm 56. I've built all these. I've built a lot of contraceptives. Sometimes we do really well, and sometimes
they don't do it. But this idea of living the life you were lying for the worst time to do, it kind of wears on you many times. Not always, but many times. And I know many folks who have had that depression, that sadness. You know, this one woman came in, she was 71 years of age. She comes in, she